By the time I was 38, I had made millions of dollars, but I had nothing to show for it. That's almost embarrassing to say. How the fuck does that happen, right? I actually have always been good at making money, but I've been even better at spending it. And it's a kind of terrible irresponsibility, this pattern that I would ignore. I always would tell myself some story justifying it. Oh, I need it. I work so hard. I can treat myself. Or, oh, I'll make more later. Or, oh, that was a tax write-off. But the truth is, I was deeply ashamed about the way that I interacted with money, and I handled it poorly. And I didn't really know why. So I decided to examine this. As uncomfortable as it was, and was somewhat involuntary, I went to this retreat in Costa Rica with Kim Roach and Hagina Osilva called Coherence Retreats. And they had this exercise around the myths of money. They asked us to write down our feelings towards money. I couldn't really picture what that combination meant. Feelings plus money. This is really before all the work that I started doing. I was like, I guess I feel good. I wasn't really in touch with the feelings. But the more I thought, the feelings started to come up. I was uncomfortable. I felt guilty about having money. A lot of this came from my growing up. I've never really gotten into this publicly, but I was pretty poor, not poverty. A lot of people have it much worse, but I didn't have a shower until I was in 8th grade. I had a bathtub. I still was clean. But I was always embarrassed to have people over to my house because we didn't have a washer and dryer. We didn't have a big TV. To this day, whenever I buy a house, even though I don't watch TV, I always buy giant flat screens that I put up on the wall. It's just like this subconscious thing, And what happened was I realized that because I didn't have money, my identity was wired in somebody who didn't have money. And so then when I had it, my subconscious was actually self-sabotaging. And it was ensuring that I still didn't have money. And basically, as soon as I would get it, I would get rid of it. And I realized, fuck, I'm intimidated by money. I'm good at making it, but I'm intimidated by money. And that was something that I didn't want. So then we did this exercise, right? And it was to write a letter to money. And I thought, oh shit, this is kind of weird, but I'm down. I'll give it a try, right? When in Costa Rica, write letters to money. But I did it, and it went like this. I'm going to share the letter. And so here's the Instagram post, and we'll get right into it. Dear Money, I haven't always treated you fairly. At times when I've had you in abundance, I've given you away for things I don't really need, and that's devalued you. At times when you've been scarce, I've complained and blamed you for my unhappiness. I know now that whether you're plentiful or scarce in my life, it's not up to you. I can neither blame nor credit you for this. That's on me, and I own that. I now know that you're a form of energy, and that it's up to me to direct, support, and regenerate you. From now, when I see you, I'll take pride and ask, how can I make you grow? How can we have fun together? What can we go learn? What can we go change in the world? Also, I've been ashamed to share publicly how much I love you for fear of being perceived as shallow or unspiritual. That's stopping today. I'll no longer hide our love affair. I'm proud to have you so we can unlock so much opportunity and change this world together. Nika. So there's my letter to money. I didn't realize it then, but what was happening was I was becoming the growth steward of my money. I was building a new identity. Essentially, I was becoming the friend of my money. I was asking it, how can I help you grow? How can we have fun together? How can we change the world? And that worked. So since then, I've been able to respect my money, and I've been able to invest over $1 million. I've been able to save over $1 million by investing. I should say that differently. And now I'm very fortunate that I have an income that allowed me to invest some money and farm it and grow it that way. So many people don't have that same luxury, but even if you don't have that income yet, these principles, they still apply to everyone, and anyone can do this for free. I wish I had learned how to do this at such a more like a younger age. So here's how it works, right? This is the exact process that I use to manifest a new identity. Now, that's not some woo-woo, go sit in a room, hold some crystals and chant and believe that everything's make-believe. This is how you align yourself to a version of you that is deserving of whatever outcome that you want. And so, one, you think about what is the thing that you want the most, and that's your desired outcome. Have you ever noticed, though, that the more you want something, the further away it seems to get, including crushes? It's like the more you like somebody, the least it happens. So it's really important to not focus too much on just what you want, but to translate that desired outcome into the identity of a person who is capable and deserving of that outcome. This is your new being. This is where you want to focus. How to become that version of yourself. Now, you may be thinking, oh, great, I just have to become the exact opposite of me. Dom, this sounds impossible, but there's a trick here, and it's actually not impossible, and it's tied to this little bit of quantum theory I'll explain. So in quantum mechanics, it's this idea that every version exists at the same time, and there's this scientific experiment called the double slit experiment. I won't go into too many details, but it basically just proves observer effect, that if something is observed, it can happen. And so what that means is that the opposite version of you actually coexists with the same version of you. And there's only one thing that's actually holding you back from being that highest version of yourself. And that's the choice, the observation. And you have to choose to be that version. But that is not so easy, especially when our identity is rooted in the old version. But luckily, we have this technology to help us do that. And it's actually the oldest technology you can possibly imagine. It has nothing to do with AI. It has nothing to do with cell phones or devices or quantum computing or the internet. That technology is feelings. Yes, feelings are actually a human technology, and we can use these to shift our timeline into the best version of ourselves. The way it works is that feelings are the language of the subconscious, and that you can program your subconscious to create a new reality. I like to refer this to becoming your future self. It's not really in the future if you believe that it all happens at once, but it's a nice ring to that. I want to become my future self. So 3 is to use feelings to program your subconscious. You deeply feel this outcome as if it's already happened, and you use your imagination to visualize this. I'll explain this in a bit, but the outcome here is that by running this process, you slowly become that version of yourself. And sometimes it happens pretty quickly, but you shift into that future you, which technically already exists. Now, there might be a lot to capture there. This process I just explained is the exact framework that I put into my book, The Daily Growth Map. It's a nightly journaling practice to help you manifest new identities. And because you're doing this at night, it's the gateway to the subconscious right before you dream. And so this allows you to really use your dreams and reflect and build these new realities. But that simple atomic unit, if you take anything away from this, the thing that's nested in here that really will help you remember this is what I call the aligned action loop. So let me say that one more time. Aligned action loop. Remember that. Here's how it works. Anytime you observe a pattern that you want to break, you recall the identity that you need to be in order to not do that, or how to break it. What is that other version of yourself? Then you go into the feeling of that identity, and it makes taking all of those aligned actions so much easier. They're effortless. They're not easy, but they're easier. And so the tricky part here is feelings. You know, I have a lot of friends who have done this. I have people in the group who've done this or trying to do it. And they say, but Dom, I get the logic. If I can somehow feel like that new version of myself, then I'll be able to become it. But how do I feel like someone who I'm not? I don't know how that feels. Well, the trick is to use your imagination, and you construct a visual. Let's walk through it quickly the way that I did it with the money one. When I make money, I feel proud about it. I feel like I'm able to take this money and put it to good use. I don't need to validate myself or treat myself to things that I'll later have buyer's regret for. I don't need to spend it on vacations that will distract me. I can put it into assets that will grow and will help me start my nonprofit, Shisharka. I can feel that on my body. I will use this money to start businesses, to share this message that I can share with other people so that they can be empowered. And all of these things that I'm using my imagination to conjure up are part of this process, right? And so I encourage everybody to do that. And you can do it about anything in your life. I'll have videos on everything from quitting drinking to quitting smoking to money to advancing your career. Now, doing it in the beginning is quite hard. It does become first nature. And I actually made an AI that acts like a little crutch. And that's how I actually got started. I had these long conversations with ChatGPT while driving around, constructing these identities, and it was incredibly helpful. And you can use this AI for free. It's a little interview, and it generates like a meditation to help you visualize. And then sometimes I'll go take that and put it in 11 Labs, and I'll actually listen to it. I have an app. By the time you watch this, you might have my app, which is coming out that does exactly this. But I don't rely too much on AI, and I really want to make sure that other folks don't either. You use it to help you learn to use your own human tools, and it elevates your consciousness in that capacity because feelings are very human, and I want it to keep it that way, right? They're our connection to source. And so AI is here to help, but not to replace. And so speaking of the program, where you can find all these links and everything, dailygrowthmap.com. There's a free PDF that walks through the nightly journaling. There's also this printed version that you can get on Amazon, Daily Growth Map. And for every copy that I sell, I plant a tree, so that way it replenishes the paper. The group is probably the best way for people because you get to do it with other people. And when you join the group on School, it actually comes with a free copy of the book. So feelings are incredibly important. As Neville Goddard said, feeling is the secret. And mastering feelings help you build a peaceful inner world so we can all enjoy a better outer world. So given that this happens with feelings, with this thing that we normally distract ourselves with, give this a try. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you in the group.